Thousands of refugees in Greece are living in housing provided by the government. But now, having been granted asylum, they're being forced to find new accommodation to make room for other asylum seekers. Giannis tells us more.
This block of apartments near the port of Piraeus is a temporary home for some of the thousands of refugees that already have been recognized as refugees by the Greek authorities. 44-year-old Abdelkader Rahmoun lives here with his wife and their 2 children. They escaped from the war in Syria and came to Greece for a better life. They will have to leave their EU-funded apartment in June. About 11,000 more people will have to do the same.
As of June 1st is the first time that the Greek government has decided to effectively implement the Greek law, which says that the country's accommodation structures are only for asylum seekers. Those who have been granted the right to asylum must leave these structures. This is not something that came suddenly today. It is something that has been discussed for a long time now, and for which all the refugees who live in these structures have been already informed. For the past 3 months, due to the coronavirus outbreak, no asylum has been given to anyone. So these people who should leave the accommodation structures have been granted asylum for at least 3 months, and most of them for 6 months or even a year.
Greek authorities are evacuating everyone from these apartments, hotels and camps to make room for asylum seekers currently living in overcrowded camps on the Greek islands.
If we leave the apartment, we won't have someone to help us financially to rent another place, and we will stay out in the streets. We were struggling for almost 10 years in Syria, and now we are still struggling in Greece.
Greek government says that the STI accommodation system is designed for asylum seekers. Once they become recognized refugees, they have the right to apply for Greek tax and social insurance numbers and find their own jobs. That means they have to leave the provided accommodation and rent for themselves, paying for it with the money they earn. Human rights organizations say that this is an eviction and that there should be more support for the integration process. Giannis, Athens, Euronews.
Well, to find out more, we're joined now by Vasiliki Katrivanou from the Greece Refugee Council. Thank you very much for your time. But this is going to impact the accommodation of thousands of now recognised refugees. What options are available to them?
So the problem is that at least 11,200 people are going to be in the streets homeless in the next period. Supposedly, when you are recognized refugee, the Greek law says that you have access to public services and the rights as a citizen. But that's not real. There is no such an equality with people coming out that don't speak the language and don't have the same access to health insurance, to medical care, to housing, and to jobs. Now, imagine that in a period of the COVID pandemic, how people are going to find new jobs and how people are going to find new housing. On top of that, there was a finance supplement from EU through UNHCR that is now omitted. They don't take any cash assistance anymore. So that will end, that people will gather in squares and gather in parks, homeless, and with no assistance.
You're worried about there being a real uptick in the number of homeless people. How much warning did these people have that this was going to be the case? And I assume that's then been further complicated by the fact that Greece has been dealing with a pandemic as well.
The warning, it was more or less better or worse. The fact is that there is not real a strategy and of integration. That's what is needed. It's needed a plan of integration where people are helped to really find jobs and housing. It's not a matter of warning. It's a matter of access to the rights, to the basic social rights, so that people are protected. We have many families, single families, that have to be kicked out from the accommodations in the streets. Because there are few people that are going to be extended, like pregnant women that have a baby of 2 months, or people that are medical
some of those people who are being moved out because Athens says they need to alleviate pressure on people living in very squalid conditions in those migrant camps. So what solutions would you propose?
I'm with you. The people from the islands, from the RIC, should come and find accommodation. At the same time, that doesn't mean that 11,000 now and 100,000 up until Easter, as the minister said, should be homeless in the streets. It doesn't. The city has empty apartments, there are empty hotels, and there should be a strategy about integration. People should learn Greek and should be supported to find jobs. And at the same time, the cash assistance that they were taking should not be cut.
Well, thank you for proposing some of the solutions. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, but thank you very much, Vasiliki Katrivano from the Greece Refugee Council.